Welcome to the project. Tonight, California sues President Trump, accusing him of adding fuel to the fire with his latest deployments as LA endures a fourth day of unrest.
Also, Erin Patterson accused of repeatedly lying, the alleged triple murderer, in the witness box for a sixth day.
Aussie women in labour with nowhere to turn, the worsening crisis facing mothers in rural and remote Australia.
Plus, a mum accused of being a bad sport filmed jeering at a 14-year-old footy player. So did she cross the line? And here to respond to the allegations, Kate Langbrook. Thanks for coming. Thanks for fronting up.
Maybe I was supporting.
Yeah. How do you know?
Sam, did you come from court or are you going to a job interview?
No, I've got a job interview after this, actually.
You look like the kid from a different school who's come along pretending to be the prefect or something.
Look, I've got an interview at Sky News. I want to look good after that.
You know, we all think of you as the defendant.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
So you said you've been sending your CV around already, is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, getting in early. Yeah, go work, go broke is what I always say. So.
Do you think there's any truth in it?
I don't know. I haven't thought this far. The Rift's bombing. We should get into the show.
We are live from the lands of the Kulin Nation. Welcome to the project.
So from plates to portion sizes, Erin Patterson has today been accused of repeatedly lying to the jury in her triple murder trial.
Accused mushroom murderer Erin Patterson back in the witness box for a sixth day. Questioned about the plates she used to serve the beef Wellingtons. Patterson denying she'd taken the extra precaution of using a different and smaller plate to the rest of her guests.
I don't have 5 plates the same, so somebody would have had different plates. I don't have 4 plates the same either. When I plated the food, it wasn't for particular people.
Patterson accused repeatedly of lying, that she'd lied about only eating a small portion of beef Wellington.
I didn't have a tape measure, it's all approximate.
That she'd lied about vomiting afterwards to try and account for why she didn't get as sick as her guests.
I wish that was true, but it's not.
Patterson disputing a hospital doctor's evidence that she asked no questions despite learning her guests were sick from death cap mushroom poisoning.
I definitely tried to ask questions. He may not have heard me. He was very busy. I remember saying to him at the very least, "Why do you think we've eaten death cap mushrooms?"
The prosecution putting to Patterson that she was stressed during the hospital visit.
I suggest that you were shocked that the doctors were onto death cap mushrooms so quickly and you were worried you were going to get caught. Correct or incorrect?
Incorrect. I don't think anyone tried to ask me that question, so I don't know what you're referring to.
Erin Patterson has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
For the latest on the case, crime and justice reporter for The Age, Erin Pearson, was in court today. So Erin Patterson was accused of lying a number of times today. How did she react to that?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of reaction from Erin Patterson in the courtroom today. She was asked many different questions about, I suggest that you did this or did that, or this was the motivation behind your actions. And most of her answers were, I disagree, or no, you're incorrect. There wasn't a lot of emotion at all today. There was a little bit of confusion, particularly around some questioning we heard this morning about a weight loss surgery appointment. The jury had been told by Erin Patterson that she had booked for September 2023. Now, this was part of her evidence that we heard late last week, that she said that she was allowing her family members to think perhaps that she was unwell and may need surgery because she wanted to keep this weight loss surgery, this gastric band sleeve type surgery, a secret from her family. And it was during her evidence last week that she named a clinic. She said it was the Enrich Clinic in Melbourne, where she had an appointment, a pre-operative appointment, to go and see a specialist there. But when Nanette Rogers SC took to the stand this morning, the Crown prosecutor fired off questions about that appointment straight away and said, Miss Patterson, do you know that it's a cosmetic clinic and it doesn't actually perform weight loss surgery? And it was at that point Erin Patterson appeared quite confused and said, well, she believed that's the surgery that she was going for.
Erin Patterson was grilled over her movements after she discharged herself from hospital. What did the prosecution say?
Yeah, so we know that she went to hospital 2 days after the lunch at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was there for about 10 minutes, and she told staff that she needed to leave. She wasn't prepared to be admitted to go to a Melbourne hospital. She thought that she may just have gastro and need some IV fluid. So she said that she needed to go home and sort out her pets, her animals, and sort out her children as well, and will be back shortly. But the jury were told the evidence is that she actually didn't return to hospital for an hour and 38 minutes. The prosecution today suggested that Erin Patterson didn't go home to organise her life before intending to go back to hospital. Perhaps she just left because she was worried that the medical staff had coined on to the fact that death cap mushrooms may be involved so early on, and she needed to make preparations. We also heard that there was some cell tower data that placed her mobile phone southwest of Leongatha during this time. Erin Patterson denied all of those allegations and said, no, she went home, she had a bit of a sleep, took care of what she needed to take care of, and then returned to the hospital just before 10 a.m.
You mentioned Patterson's children. Today she was interrogated about her reluctance to take them to hospital. What did we learn about that?
That's right. It's a question that's been asked of Miss Patterson many times during this trial, and it was a particular time when she was at Leongatha Hospital that the jury have been told it was first raised with her that she needed to bring the children in to be examined. Potentially they may have ingested some of the lunch leftovers. She was asked, yes, did you have a reluctance to stay? Did you have a reluctance to bring them into hospital and have them treated? Because that was the evidence of some of the other witnesses. And Erin Patterson said, no, that's not true at all. She didn't have a reluctance to bring them in. She just wanted to find out a little bit more about why they wanted them to come in and what that would involve. And that's when she mentioned today the evidence of a Dr. Christopher Webster, who was at the Leongatha Hospital. And she said that the way that he spoke to her made her feel like it was quite a bizarre exchange. And she alleged that he yelled at her, which she now says she realises after he gave evidence that was really his inside voice. But that made her quite anxious and was one of the other reasons that she may have been or appeared to be a bit stressed at the time.
All right, many more threads will be pulled on, I imagine. Erin, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get some more news now. And at his first National Press Club address since his emphatic election win, Anthony Albanese has outlined his plans for the next 3 years. The PM says with a mandate to act, his government will look to boost Medicare, housing and clean energy. He also wants to meet with business and unions in August to drum up ideas around productivity.
We want to build the broadest possible base of support for further economic reform to drive growth, boost productivity, strengthen the budget.
And the man who jumped on stage at Katy Perry's concert in Sydney last night has been charged over the stunt. Footage shows serial prankster Johnson Wen trying to put his arms around Katy while she performed and also dancing around before he was tackled by security. This is always my favourite moment, I have to say.
Got in.
It's not the first time he's tried to grab the spotlight. He did the same thing at the weekend's concert in Melbourne last year.
I saw that.
And he's done many more besides.
Yeah, he's done way more than that. He's done the Women's World Cup final, the Cricket World Cup final. He ran on during State of Origin as well. He also crashed the 100-metre men's final at the 2024 Paris Games.
So he's global.
But
He's got like the best CV I've ever heard.
But you know what? He started out like doing flossing like at the Queen Street Mall in Brisbane and jumping on tables in food courts.
What? It's a rags to riches story.
You know what? Is it a victimless crime?
Yes,
No,
because
you know who the victims are? Us. Why are we not good enough for you, Johnson? What's the problem?
Brother,
you
get
know
in
the
here.
thing is, if he commits to it long enough, he goes from being pest to being legend.
Yeah, right.
That's all.
But you have to go through the bottom of the
Yes,
curve.
you do.
Do you think Katy Perry hated it? Like, it's hard to tell. She didn't.
I reckon she would have been startled at the start.
Would have been
and then-
scary.
Maybe in space she should do it. No one's invading.
Can I just say, I cannot take this
Mate,
seriously.
shut up. It's fine. Look, it's normal. And watch this. Okay, an O-Bahn bus in Adelaide went off the tracks today. This journo was chatting to commuters about the disruption, and this lady showed you can deliver some devastating sass with a smile.
Has your commute been affected at all?
I don't know. If I'm getting late for this bus, it's getting affected. Have a nice one.
Look at her go.
Did she make it?
We won't know, but Waleed, just for you, I thought I'd bring that because after June 27th, you'll need to know that that's a bus, and that's what you need to get around. So it was more kind of to help you out.
When you're dressed like that, you cannot make that joke.
Mate, I'm a salesman. Do you want to buy a bus as well?
After a break, see you soon. Welcome back. This is The Project, and yes, we are all in a slight state of shock because after 2.5 years of trying, Sam has just decided, stuff it, he's wearing a tie. He's been doing this.
Dress for the job you want, you know.
What is the job you want? A creature from the past?
No, I think just any job is kind of the job I want.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You look like an old-timey newsreader.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah.
Like from when, the 40s or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, the Jerrys are... The Jerrys are approaching. Our boys are trapped on Dunkirk. We've got to get the thick of the Commonwealth Games, lads. We've got to get you off. God save the Queen, because nothing will save the project.
That was uncanny. I'm going to go home and start baking Anzacs.
Oh, I mean, that's weirdly the nicest thing you've ever said to me on this show.
Can we keep you like that on the rest of the...
Yeah, absolutely, Wally.
It really suits you.
Oh, we're back. All right, okay. I didn't think we'd get this far. Let's get to what's the next story?
Yeah, you could tell the executive producer's been at lunch today. A world-first blood test could be about to revolutionise how a common autoimmune disease is diagnosed in Australia. Celiac disease affects more than 350,000 Aussies. This new test would eliminate the need for people to eat gluten in order to be diagnosed and find the right treatment. Researchers hope it will be available within 2 years.
Yeah, how cruel. You had to eat the gluten to find out if you couldn't
I
eat the
know.
gluten and have the agony.
It's difficult. Apple has revealed what it calls its biggest software upgrade in a decade at its annual developers conference in California. Liquid glass has been designed to make its devices work more seamlessly with unified operating systems. Its features include a live translation, a workout buddy, the ability to filter spam calls. The tech experts say it still falls short on the AI front compared to its competitors.
And I bet you the battery doesn't last any longer than a few hours. Now, Greta Thunberg was trying to help the people of Gaza. Now she is in IDF custody.
Greta Thunberg, one of 12 activists detained aboard a Gaza-bound charity boat, has been deported from Israel. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition vessel was trying to deliver humanitarian aid to the territory when it was intercepted. Israel's Defence Minister reportedly wanted Greta and her crewmates to be shown a video of October 7 attack atrocities before they were sent home. They refused to watch it. As King Charles toured Lancaster Castle, a palace insider has reportedly made huge claims about his cancer battle. The 76-year-old monarch has never disclosed what sort of cancer he's fighting, and the insider claims, while it's being successfully managed, it is ultimately incurable. The talk now, Charles may die with cancer, but not from it. And a judge has tossed out Justin Baldoni's $613 million defamation lawsuit against co-star Blake Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist. Baldoni filed the lawsuit after Lively accused him of sexual harassment and starting a smear campaign against her. Her damages claim against Baldoni is still pending.
Okay, so it seems kind of like he's lost at this point. But she's also lost a lot.
Yeah.
Well, because of his case being dismissed.
Yes.
Because, you know, Sarah and I have read the full 167 pages.
Ipso facto.
Yes.
Wow.
What does that mean, Waleed?
I don't know. But,
Something about the truth?
but there's something about this is quite a technical judgment, right? So it's because her complaint or the allegations were in a lawsuit.
Yes.
You can't see, because otherwise no one would be able to bring a lawsuit.
But the interesting thing is that there's evidence that she'd actually spoken to, I think, was it the New York Times?
Yeah, before
actually filing the suit. And then the New York Times had written the piece referencing, I suppose,
all
what
the
was in the lawsuit.
sleuths found the time stamp on it. But it's now cost her relationship with Taylor Swift.
I mean, the greatest cost
And
of all.
I don't think the public will ever see her the same way again.
Yeah, it's hard to read.
Do you want to, since you're in this mode, do you want to, we've got to go to the break.
Well, I hope those two work it out. It's almost as bad as the Great War. You're watching The Project back after this.
Watching The Project.
Dogs bring a lot to our lives: companionship, unconditional love, but there's more. A new study has found babies exposed to our furry friends are less likely to develop eczema. Previous research shows dogs can also help reduce blood pressure and stress.
Well, here with her thoughts is Shih Tzu Sensei, an oracle of everything, Mel Butto! I'm dying to know, Mel, what do you make of all this?
Look, I'm not surprised by this news. Dogs are amazing. They work at the airport, they help the blind, and now they're practically dermatologists, which begs the question, what do cats offer? Where can cats work? Nowhere. Cats bring nothing to the table. They're just warm Franklin mint ornaments who poo behind the lounge.
We work for them.
Wow. Now, Mel, you've had your own brush with eczema, right?
Yes, you've dressed up, Sam.
Glad you noticed.
Was it Mufti Day or something?
I made a coin donation, don't worry.
I did have eczema as a kid and it was a nightmare. I had to have a pine tassel bath, I had to rub in steroid cream, coat myself in moisturiser and medicinal honey. Yeah, in primary school I smelled a lot like the vitamin aisle of the chemist. But thanks to this new study, those days are over. Hey mums, forget the pricey skin specialists and serums, just rub a pug on the affected area. I'm not a doctor. It's got to be a real dog too. It can't just be Bluey and not that girl from high school who told everyone you had a crush on Ian Hewitson.
Hey Mel, it sounds like it was a big part of your life.
Sarah, eczema was my whole personality. Thanks guys, thank you. Having to sweep up my flakes from under me taught me discipline. And eczema did prevent me from doing a few things though. I wasn't allowed to go horse riding. Mum said that I can't wear a hypercoloured t-shirt, it might flare up my eczema. I couldn't eat roll-ups. I'm out. Hang on, I'm just thinking, I think we were just poor coming together.
Hey, have you got dogs at home, Mel?
You shut up about my mum, Kate. We have 2 dogs at my house. So my kids should be eczema-free. And there's also lots of dogs in the neighbourhood where I live, but there's no purebred dogs because I'm deep in the outer suburbs where no one can afford a purebred dog. Everything's just a Staffy Cross, and I'm starting to think some of the kids actually might be Staffy Cross too. But just a word of warning, if you do see a purebred dog in my suburb, it has been stolen.
So should new and expecting parents then get a dog?
Look, people will tell you to get a dog to practice being a parent on. Wrong. If you really want to prepare yourself, try putting a hoodie on an octopus every day at 5 a.m, right? Unless you've trained that dog to pull your hair and vomit on you, you are not prepared for parenthood. If you really want to prepare, get 12 dogs.
Mel, thank you very much as always.
Love you, thank you, Work the project back after this. Well, a war of words is echoing warlike scenes on the streets of LA. Donald Trump deploying Marines and the National Guard to confront immigration protesters, with Californian authorities now suing the president, accusing him of fueling the fire.
Rubber bullets, flashbangs and pepper spray deployed by police. Pieces of concrete hurled and cars set alight by protesters. A volatile situation inflamed?
Donald Trump has exacerbated the conditions, lit the proverbial match. He's putting fuel on this fire. It's Orwellian.
Or a city that's lost control of its streets.
If we didn't do the job, that place would be burning down just like the houses burned down.
President Donald Trump sending in 700 Marines and 2,000 more National Guard troops to control those protesting heavy-handed federal immigration raids.
Imagine how many adults are afraid to go to work, having no idea when and where these raids take place. You create this sense of fear and terror in a population.
Our PM today condemning the shooting of an Aussie journalist who was reporting on the protest when she was hit by a rubber bullet.
We have already raised these issues with the US administration. We don't find it acceptable that it occurred, and we think the role of the media is particularly important.
Californian authorities today announcing they're suing Trump.
We don't take lightly to the president abusing his authority and unlawfully mobilizing California National Guard troops.
An illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act. There's a protocol, there's a process. He didn't care about that.
Governor Gavin Newsom deploying more than 800 more of his own law enforcers, posting, "Chaos is exactly what Trump wanted, and now California is left to clean up the mess." So as the protests begin to fan out across the nation, just how far will the civil unrest spread?
I'm not really scared of them. I'm more scared of what our country's becoming.
All these people come here with love, and all the people standing over there with hate, and we're just here to fight that.
I love my people. I can't keep sitting by watching my brothers and sisters getting taken.
David Cruz is from the League of United Latin American Citizens. He's in close contact with the protesters. So Donald Trump's assertion here is that this was already getting violent and out of control, and that if he hadn't sent in the National Guard, things would be a whole lot worse right now. Is that what happened?
That's a fair question. Look, within the ranks of the leaders of this, if you will, informal type of a coalition that forms, when people become very excited, very angry, there will be people who may arrive in a city like Los Angeles. We don't know who they are. We even are considering the possibility that someone or some have infiltrated this community because we don't know who they are. And look, I'm not going to defend destruction of property. I'm not going to defend people who are throwing rocks and bottles at officers. That's indefensible. The majority of the people, though, are not doing that. We are a nonviolent, lawfully organized group that's exercising our First Amendment right. But you're right. To the world, it looks like it's a city going up in flames. That's not the case.
So the protests are now spreading across the country. How serious is this? Why are people getting so riled up about it?
Because the notion that these individuals should be swept up wholesale without due process, without a day in court, without seeing a judge, being picked up in the darkness of the night. For instance, the case that really triggered LA was 200 people responding to appointment settings at the immigration office, only to be hurried down into a basement, held for 72 hours. That's when we became aware of it and we called attention to it. So it isn't that we don't understand some people will not be allowed to stay. It's the process that's being used. And of course, coming in with military gear and the use of all this kind of equipment, it's something that really frightens people. And it's really being very counterproductive to the economy of our country. People are not showing up to jobs. Job sites are empty. Kids are being kept out of school, and people are even afraid to get health care right now because there are agents that are in hospitals.
President Trump says that only the worst criminals are being targeted, rapists, murderers, people who've trafficked children. Is that not the case?
There are some people who have a criminal background, no doubt, and I did see the list released by Homeland Security yesterday. I wouldn't want them in my neighborhood either. We don't support people who have a criminal past. But that is a very, very, very tiny fraction of the people who are getting picked up. Let me tell you who is getting picked up. People who have been here 10 to 15 years, people who have been paying taxes, people who have been buying homes, whose kids go to school. And now these are people who are also part of the very fabric of the country. I don't know if you know this, but they pay into Social Security. They don't get any benefits out of that. They're now about to get taxed 3.5% for any money they send to their home country. So when you have out of one side that they're a source of income for America, but on the other, they're criminals, there's got to be something there that's just not true.
That's remarkable scenes in what looks like it might be a signal moment. David, you sound like you got your work cut out. We'll let you go do it. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
More top stories now, and another investigation is underway at Monash IVF after a second embryo mix-up, this time involving a same-sex couple. The mother-to-be was supposed to receive her partner's embryo, but the wrong one was implanted. 2 months ago, Monash IVF blamed human error for another woman's embryo being implanted into a mum who gave birth in Brisbane.
It beggars belief that now this is the second error in as many months. I hope that alarm bells are going off within the industry, because errors like this can't keep happening.
Accused triple murderer Erin Patterson has been quizzed about the days after the fatal lunch that killed her in-laws as her trial enters its 7th week. She denied her movements after she was discharged from hospital were about covering her tracks. The 50-year-old told the court that Ian Wilkinson, who survived the meal, gave incorrect evidence about mismatched plates. Ms Patterson also denied deliberately adding death cap mushrooms to the beef Wellingtons. She's pleaded not guilty to all charges.
2 competitors in the Finke Desert Race have survived a death-defying crash on day 2 of the gruelling Central Australian event.
Holy moly.
The driver and his navigator became airborne and rolled, while travelling at about 160 k's an hour. The driver said it all happened so quick, but the safety gear did its job.
Thank God.
It certainly did. Lucky to be alive, they suffered only some bruising from their harness straps.
That's a great aid for that truck.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Exactly. It's still kicking.
Also, Tony's driving, still a problem, right? A woman has been condemned after she was filmed mocking a teenager from the sidelines. There she is.
Here we go.
During a recent under-14s league game in the UK. So this is a woman in the sunglasses. You see her there. She can be seen heckling the junior player as he prepared to kick a conversion there. People have been quick to call out how disgusting and outrageous her behaviour was. I say it's good parenting.
Yeah. You support that?
Yeah, great.
I think it's good practice for him if he ever wants to enter the media as a career to get you and speak freely, speak his thoughts freely in conversations that people always say they want to hear but perhaps don't want to hear.
Right.
This is beginning to sound more autobiographical.
Well, no. What I'd actually like to say is it's an honour to sit at this desk with you people.
Katie.
And this has been a beautiful show and a very important part of Australian life.
Aww.
See ya. But it really has. Oh, well, you don't know. You're from the 1930s.
That's right, Kate. Yeah.
You're going to love the project when it
Indeed,
is.
I love all mothers, the heart of the nation.
Wait till you find out about this thing called feminism.
Protect the gender pay gap, fellas. No, I don't agree with that. Now, if you thought that mum was embarrassing... Oh, boy. I got to think before I speak. Now, another Queensland mum, she has destroyed her son, who was trying to be a cool kid, at the Queensland Origin Team Fan Day in Gympie.
Tell us a bit about what's going on for you this morning.
Oh, nothing much. Just wake up, come out, skip a day of school, have a day off. Might as well.
It's your brother's 10th birthday.
Oh, and it's my brother's birthday too, yeah.
Shut the hell up, Mum! God! Can't wait to tell my girlfriend, who you don't know about this. She's gonna
There's more
agree with me.
projects on the way. Stick around. I like to better old times.
Coming up. Back with the project.
It's a crisis that has plagued the regions for years. Pregnant women often left to travel hundreds of kilometres to give birth.
I hadn't felt Bubby move in over hours, which was so strange because that was usually the time where she was most active. So we trusted our instincts and we presented ourselves to the Kempsey maternity ward.
But Kempsey Maternity Unit on the mid-north New South Wales coast doesn't have specialist staff over the weekend. Caitlin was placed on a CTG monitor, which failed to pick up her baby's movement. So the hospital sent her, 39 weeks pregnant, to Port Macquarie Hospital 40 minutes away, with no guarantee they could take her.
There was never offer of an ambulance or transport or anything. I was just very scared, just wanted to get there to get some answers and to find out what was going on.
When they arrived, there was still no fetal movement.
And that's when they decided to break my waters. And with every contraction I was getting, Bubby's heart rate was dropping next to nothing. So she wasn't surviving the contractions. And then that was when they prepped me for an emergency caesarean. I had given birth to her within the hour and she came out with 3 loops of the cord around her neck.
Rural, regional and remote women are constantly forced to travel the maternity desert in labour because their hospital is on bypass. When a hospital is at capacity and patients are diverted to the nearest facility that can take them in rural areas, that could be hours away.
Women have told me that they've Googled where they can give birth because they've been to 2 or 3 other services and they're at the point where they're just like, I genuinely don't know where's left in my health district for me to present and go and have a safe birth.
It's a nationwide crisis. Over the past 20 years, 150 rural maternity units have closed and many more downgraded, with countless more at risk of the same fate. In New South Wales alone, 1 in 2 maternity units have shut since 1990.
It's a slow erosion of a huge amount of people on the ground, and that is contributing to this issue that's arisen really quickly in one generation.
Chloe Hope is from Narrabri, 500 k's from Sydney, and struggled to get help for her severe morning sickness.
I ended up cracking it and was like, can someone take me to Tamworth Hospital? No one's listening to me here and I don't feel well. I didn't even have a care plan. I'd already lost about 5 kilos by that point.
When Chloe reached 40 weeks and experienced labour-like pains, she went to Narrabri Hospital, but it was on bypass. She was sent 2 hours and 172 k's away to Tamworth. But when Chloe and her partner arrived, she was turned away because she wasn't in labour.
And I just went, what? I've been here for 4 days waiting in pain.
The couple remained in Tamworth and 3 days later, Chloe was induced, giving birth to her daughter, Alaska. They were discharged, but Chloe was still in excruciating pain.
I couldn't walk from my bedroom to the kitchen without being in tears. And I ended up ringing the hospital and they were like, oh no, like, wait till the health nurse gets on next year, they'll have a look.
She was finally referred for an ultrasound where they found retained placenta still inside her. While the doctor warned she needed surgery to save her life, there was no anaesthetist at Narrabri. She'd have to drive to Tamworth, the doctor saying,
you need to have this taken out now, like you could get really sick and die. Because I'd also call an ambulance, but they probably refuse to take you because it's not urgent enough.
Again, Chloe made the 2-hour journey in agonising pain.
Then after surgery, we drove ourselves back home, and that's kind of when it was like a bittersweet feeling coming home because I was like, oh, finally I can start to be a mum. And then I think everything from birth just kind of took over.
Chloe had struggled with her mental health before falling pregnant, and the trauma of her birth sent her on a downward spiral.
My baby's healthy, my baby's fine, but it doesn't stop you from panicking. It does not stop you from feeling it like deep in your soul.
A trauma Caitlin carries.
She was placed on one of the beds that was in the theatre room, and they were just like pumping oxygen with the pump into her lungs. And then I got to say like a quick hello and a quick goodbye, and she got wheeled off to the special care unit and I went the opposite way. I feel like I was robbed of that experience with my daughter, to have that initial skin-to-skin contact. It's a lot of trauma that doesn't just go away. I live with it every day.
These stories are why Jen is pushing for the regions to be heard, calling out the workforce shortages and systemic under-resourcing.
Rural, regional, remote people are really resilient. It's that quiet resilience of kicking the can down the road, but we're getting to this antithesis where something diabolical is going to happen.
28% of the country's population live in rural and remote areas, but these Australians receive $848 less per person in healthcare funding than those in the cities. They face a $6.55 billion healthcare underspend.
When we continually feel like we don't know, that breeds mistrust into some of the most amazing healthcare workers, and it also breeds mistrust into those services because they are so overrun and so under-resourced, they're not providing the care they want to.
My family's out here, my partner's family's out here. I want Alaska to grow up with friends here in a community, and I love the community here, but it's scary. The thought of, if I do have another baby here, it was terrible then. If this is in another 5 years, what's it going to be like then?
And with 40% of capital city dwellers considering moving to the regions, they're calling for state and federal governments to prioritise healthcare, ensuring all women have access to quality maternity care regardless of location.
I would like to see the nurses and the doctors here being given the tools to actually do their jobs properly. And funding for that hospital to keep staff here, incentives for people from the city to come out here and work. But the problem is some of them do, and they're here for 6 months and then they go again. So what's going to keep them here?
We are saying it's not the time to be quiet anymore. It's the time to sit up, speak up, support your rural midwives, support your rural doctors and your nurses. It's time to get behind them and support them and say, we want more. We don't want to be forgotten.
Calling for change before it's too late.
For any first-time mums or mums in general, just to trust your instinct. Don't take no for an answer. Because you just never know.
Wow, I did not know.
No.
Also, the cruelty, just abject cruelty and disrespect for what women do when we bear children. We are building the nation. How is that not worthy? To make a woman drive 2.5 hours and then turn her away?
Chloe's story that's hard to listen to.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. You can find more information on the Bush Babies campaign and a statement from the New South Wales Health Minister on our links page.
Watching the project.
That's right, Sarah, we're on the television.
Thank God I wore a tie to save us from moments like that. Guys, let's get over to the annual water lily celebration in the US, where this reporter kind of gave me a horrifying glimpse into what my future employment will look like.
I feel like one of the Munchkins. We represent the Lollipop Guild, but I'm not doing that right now.
Oh, is it weird that my agent told me to buy a water lily hat today?
What sort of hat?
A water lily hat.
He wasn't wearing a tie though, so I took him seriously. Our next guest has been hailed as a modern-day Mozart.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see what you do from here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for dropping by. Yep, that's me interviewing muso, composer, producer Jacob Collier way back in 2019. And boy, he's ticked off a few achievements since then. Most notably, he's added another 5 Grammys to his trophy cabinet for both breathtaking originals and mind-boggling rearrangements. He's collaborated with countless legends across almost every genre, from Coldplay to John Mayer, Shawn Mendes to Stormzy. Now he's delighted fans adding an Aussie leg to his truly epic world tour.
Who's that? Please welcome Jacob Collier. I mean, you and Sam could be long-lost brothers. Look at you both.
Do you reckon?
Haircuts,
Come on,
brown eyes.
Not bad.
Same vibe.
Yeah.
I look like your lawyer, and you've been caught doing something wrong.
Exactly.
One of them is successful. Which one?
Now, your Aussie shows, they will be the last of the year. How big do these things get?
Oh, it's so exciting to be back here. It's so exciting to be coming back. And these venues are some of the craziest venues I can imagine playing. And in Australia, of all places, it's going to be so much fun.
You play so many instruments. I feel like you could play every instrument. That is your musical knowledge. You could do it all.
Oh, thank you.
You play them all. Often we have people on and we're like, what's your favourite to play? I want to know, what do you think is the worst instrument?
The worst instrument in the world?
Yeah, of all the instruments,
I think it's probably your jacket.
Joke's on you, it's not an instrument.
Joking.
No.
I don't know if there's such a thing as a bad instrument, to be quite honest. Really? I've always just been interested by the idea that literally anything can make a sound.
Yeah, right.
I think last time I came on this show was about 6 years ago, and I know you were here, and I was jamming on the table. I have fond memories of that.
Can anything become an instrument?
I think so.
Yeah.
I reckon so. Other than maybe.
Oh, that pen.
What about a guy at 4 a.m. playing like a bongo drum as a house party's kind of failing? What do you think about that?
I would advocate for this.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
All right.
I'm that guy.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
Shall we jam?
Should we jam right now?
Yeah.
All
You want
right.
me to start a beat, or you're better at it?
There's a pen down here. That was your.
sorry, that was-
I'm
your
happy
pen.
to rap if you guys need as well.
Oh, this is exciting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kate can scat.
Really?
I can't scat. Not of the musical variety.
Non-musical scat. Yeah. No, that's it.
Yeah, don't ask.
But then, like, music is almost like has got almost a religious overtone with you because it feels like you're so filled with it.
Well, thank you.
And your gigs are like unlike any others, I think.
Well,
We've got
thanks a lot.
some here.
Oh, yeah.
You want to see yourself?
Oh, go on.
This is amazing.
Yeah. Like, where did the vision for that come from?
Yeah, it's I suppose if I look back to my earliest memories as a child, I would watch my mother conduct orchestras. So she's an amazing conductor. Wow. And there's something about that process of the body waking up the mind and people just coming to life and feeling free. I never thought I'd be a conductor, but then I started to play shows and I realised that the audience is like the best instrument ever. And so I started to move people through song, moving people up and down using gestures with my hands. And it really touched my heart in a deep way. So much so that I started to record these audiences, audience choirs for my album that came out last year. And there's over 100,000 people on the album in total. It's just a lot of human beings in one go.
Do you have to pay them all, or?
That would probably bankrupt me immediately if I had to.
But like you did it at Glasgow, so doing it at Glasgow, that's huge to do it at Glastonbury.
Well, I wasn't sure if it would work in something as broad as that. But there's something about music which is beautiful, which is that it's so inherent to us. You know, it's like as long as we've ever heard music, I think it's a part of us in some way. So it's a language I've been perpetually obsessed with, and nowadays I'm just trying to see how far I can stretch it with audiences. I will say that my favourite audience choir of all time happened here in Australia. Happened at the end of 2022 in Sydney. And that's the audience that opens the whole album. So I'm always really thrilled to bring the choir home. You know?
So it's amazing that you can get an audience who may not be musicians to sing with pitch like that. But you, of course, you're a freak. You have perfect pitch.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which means I could say a note.
Do you have perfect pitch?
I do.
So if I say B flat, you can just produce. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
My old friend, B flat.
Can we try? I should have gone with C half sharp.
Oh, yeah.
So what's this?
Oh, it's kind of E flat, I suppose. Yeah, E flat.
Okay.
What?
And anything has a pitch, right? So like when Kate speaks, there'll be a sort of basic pitch that runs.
Really? If I speak now?
Hum a note.
No, just talk.
Just speak.
Yeah, just talk.
Just speak. Me speaking
Can you
has
get a
got
pitch out of that?
Yeah, well, people are constantly singing. Like,
Yeah,
we don't
it
realise,
goes up.
but it's like when we speak, we go. "Ah, da, 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 da,
So
da."
do you have any idea what that note?
What my note is?
She's ready.
So, all right.
Okay.
This is the hard. Can you what pitch is going on here?
No way I couldn't imitate
Well, that was amazing. Was that you?
No, that was a koala, I think.
I used to be a journalist, so yeah.
That is actually the sound koalas make.
Yeah.
Right, superb.
When they're in heat.
Pitchless.
Pitchless. Well, you stumped him.
Oh my God.
That's what I got.
Pitchless.
Always so great to speak to you. Tickets for Jacob's upcoming tour go on sale on Monday. All the information is on our website. In the meantime, would you please thank the wonderful Jacob Collier?
Thank you very much.
That's it for tonight. Please thank the wonderfully musical scatter, Kate Latham.